welcome to another episode of the Bella Grace podcast, where we are helping high achievers break free from mindsets, behaviors, and substances that are holding them back from living the life that they dream of. And this week, we are doing that by talking to my new friend, Ashley. Ashley has spent the last 8 years building a multi-7-figure business while traveling to over 60 countries. But despite her outward success, she realized true freedom isn't just financial, it's internal. Through her reinvention method rooted in powerful healing and transformative modalities, we're going to see if my mouth and my brain communicate today. She helps ambitious women who feel like their minds never stop running finally quiet the noise, soak up the moments that really matter, and fully enjoy the success they've built without walking away from their business or overhauling their entire life. Her approach is deeply personal, blending strategy with somatics, subconscious reprogramming, nervous system regulation, and self-discovery to create a life that feels as good as it looks. Goodness. Sorry, I don't know why my brain and my mouth are not communicating today. But welcome to the show. I am super excited to hear what you have to say because I was one of those women who on the outside, like I was traveling, I had the big girl job, I had the fancy cars, my family was nice, put together. But on the inside, I was like crumbling. My daughter called me Mom Dragon during that period because I was grumpy. My hormones were out of whack. Like I was learning really bad habits as far as like responding to people and like my temper and just everything was out of whack. And I overhauled my life. And I used the techniques that I knew for myself through my education, my coaching, all that good stuff. But overhauling your life isn't an option for everybody. And it's not for everybody. Not everybody needs that, and it won't be good for everybody. It could be very stress inducing, very anxiety inducing for certain people. So I am super excited to talk to you about all the things. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so I'm excited to be here. And for me, I pretty much live the story that I now support people with. I think for me, what happened was back in 2017, I started my own business. And at the time, I really wanted to travel the world and work from anywhere, be able to spend every day with my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, and support our future family. And that was the dream. And I'm sure since your listeners are high achievers, they can relate. I was used to, like, I knew if I set my mind to something, then I could make it happen. And I was always right if I got a 98. Well, why didn't I get an 100? And I went to an Ivy League school, got above a 4.0. It was like this constant striving and proving that I didn't even realize at the time that I was doing. And so when I started my business, I did the same thing, and I just grinded like really hard and hustled, and I did whatever it took to make that a reality. And so within a year, my husband was able to quit his job. We put all our stuff in storage. We were making like way more than we had ever made in corporate. And we left to travel the world. And we've actually been traveling the world for the last 8 years. And we've created a multiple 7-figure business, which has been amazing. But what ended up happening was I was leaving to go on this trip. We booked a one-way ticket to Europe as our first trip. And instead of feeling really excited for what was coming and for the fact that I achieved these big dreams, it just felt like so much pressure. And it was like I didn't even know what to do with it. Like I couldn't let it in. I remember talking to my therapist at the time being like, maybe I just want to go to Bali and like leave it all and go soul search. Like I don't know if I can do this. And I ended up going on the trip, and really at that time, it was like such an interesting thing for me to realize because, I'd be physically in these amazing places, like in the cobblestone streets of Europe, went to the pyramids of Egypt, all these awesome spots. And like physically I was there, but mentally my mind was a million miles away, going over like what could go wrong, how could I strategize my next move in business, what else I should be doing, what would someone else think. And it was this nonstop cycle that I couldn't shut my mind off. And it was like you would look at my life and think I had everything. Like I had location freedom, lifestyle freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, but I didn't feel free at all. And it was because I was really like internally, I just couldn't actually feel free. It wasn't what my nervous system was prepared for at all. And we're always told success, like you said, right? Success will make us happy. It will make us like, we'll have all the things and everything will be okay. And that's when life is perfect, like some fairy tale. But what we're not actually told is, well, once you get that success that you've been thinking everything will be fine and like perfect once you have it, is you're still you. And so then for me, it was like all my parts, all my baggage, all my, like whoever I was just right in front of me. And there was no more that I could say, well, once I hit this or once I hit that. And it was just really there for me to deal with. And there was so much shame around it that like I felt like I should really be enjoying this life and I just couldn't. And for me, what ended up happening was I remember I was in Amsterdam and I was talking to one of my friends, and she said to me, I was telling her all about how I felt. And she was like, what got you here won't get you there. And for me, I really took that to mean, all this hustle, this grinding, this way I've been showing up and pushing is exactly what was going to hold me back from getting to where I want to go. Because it was ultimately, if I couldn't even enjoy it, I was like, well, what's the point? And I knew I was going to burn out. And so that really sent me on like a deep spiritual and personal development journey to create a life that feels as good as it looks. And in that time, this was back in 2018, it really actually took me a long time to actually be able to do that and to rewire my nervous and my patterns. I ended up, initially starting off doing a lot of mindset work, which had its purpose, but it also wasn't really shifting things at the core. So I was still always really stressed, feeling that pressure. Then in 2020 got burnt out because I was still operating the same way I was in my business. And, and I think that's a big piece of how you mentioned like overhauling your life. It's like ultimately we think sometimes that it's all these external things. Like I thought, it must be my business, or it must be these other people that, I'm dealing with, or these other things. And eventually I realized, no, like this is me, that I really need to shift internally. For me, I had a lot of people relying on me. So I didn't want to fully leave my business and just really figure out to do the internal work within. And so after that period of burnout, I couldn't show up the same way as I had been showing up previously. Like my body just wouldn't allow me to. And so I started there, needing to really shift things. And I found a lot of deeper modalities that really worked with my nervous system at the root, at the core, a lot of subconscious reprogramming, somatics, energetic therapies, like you name it. I probably tried it, to really start to shift how I was showing up, to be able to actually let this life in and turn off my mind and enjoy it. And so over the years, I became so obsessed with this work because I really think it is the most important key piece underneath it all, and really rewiring these high achiever patterns for all of us that are constantly chasing and proving, and feeling like our worth comes from achieving. And so I, along the way, got certified on a lot of different modalities. And now I really work with my own clients with my Reinvention Method, which I really utilize as a cocktail of modalities to support you depending on where your own nervous system is at, where you're like how triggered you are in a situation, where your life is like meeting you, because I don't believe just one modality is the answer. I believe, for me, different times in my journey, different points, things worked better than others. And so really meeting you where you're at, and now really working with high achievers who are constantly stuck in their heads, just striving towards that next goal, that next thing, to really help them actually turn off their minds and be able to let in their life and let their success land and create more success from an actually aligned place that they can really enjoy as well.
Yes, I love it. I love that you pull from different modalities, because I always tell people, like, I'll get asked a question, the same question all the time. Like, what methods do you use?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I have a background in counseling. My first master's qualified me to sit for the counseling exam and the coaching exam. And so I didn't take a linear path to that
Mm-hmm.
destination. I'm actually getting a second master's in addiction counseling. So I have
Okay.
a lot of background in counseling. And so I've been fortunate to have experience and knowledge in all the different modalities. And I'm like you, and I like to explore all of the different options like nervous system resetting and like EFT, tapping.
Mm-hmm.
I like the like somatic stuff and acupuncture, and I think it's all really important. And I am the same way. So I always tell people like I don't have one specific coaching modality. Like I use them all, and I tailor it to whoever I'm working with because we're all different.
Mm-hmm.
We all have different needs and we're all in different places.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think that's a big piece, right? It's like healing is not one size fits all. So what works for one person might not work for another. And then also the time that you have to actually do the work will depend. You know, if you have time to do like a whole session, that's one thing. Or if you need to do something more on the go, something else can meet you there. So yeah, I believe the same thing. It's very much catered to the client. So I love that.
Yeah, I love your journey. So you have done the thing. You successfully left corporate
Hmm.
and built a massive business.
Hmm.
Is what you do now the same as what you did before? Like is it the same business?
So I now have two businesses. So I do my original business, which is more direct sales based, and then along the way, I've also pivoted and added in a second business, which is the one that I shared about as well.
Yeah, I love that. See, pivots. And
That's
you
good.
took your personal experience and now you help people overcome the same things that you were going through. So what are your favorite modalities, or tell us about your method?
Yeah. So in terms of my method, so it just we go in kind of in a specific way to really meet you again, like I was saying, where you're at. So to first figure out, okay, how are you operating in the world, right? We first want to have awareness to what patterns are showing up, like who are you, right? How is like what is controlling your life at this time that you want to change? Because ultimately that awareness and that acceptance of it is really key, and that's how we start with any shift as well. And then from there, we dig into really breaking the belief bind. So understanding what are your beliefs that are running the show, and how can we start to shift those. And then as we start to shift those, really going deep into deconditioning. So I use a lot of different modalities here to really decondition. Like so much of how we show up in the world and who we think we are is actually just conditioned behaviors that became our personality and isn't who we are at all. And so really like this is such a big phase of actually deconditioning who we've thought ourselves to be, to again start to discover, which is then my next phase, who we ultimately are and what our own desires are once we get out of these patterns, and really stepping into that. And then from there starting to embody our truth and really reclaim ourselves into the world, which can be really hard when we have a lot of expectations. We have a lot of people viewing us in one way and we need to claim ourselves. But really through that process that I take you in, we do a lot of deep work with, again, different nervous system regulation, different somatics that really gets into your subconscious, and then also a lot of subconscious reprogramming techniques that I utilize to really help you start to uncover like, okay, who am I actually, and like what actually fuels me, not just what I thought. And so with my reinvention method, it's ultimately really what I consider like a reinvention back to yourself. And it works so well because it's just we don't realize, like I think that was one of the most empowering things for me, is like we don't realize that so much of who we're operating isn't us. And it was like I could always feel in my own life that how I was showing up in the world like wasn't actually my true essence, and I could feel like my insides and outsides didn't match. Like I could feel that there was this way that I was meant to be that I just couldn't quite touch. And as I started learning so much more about this work, and I started learning about, these are just different parts of myself, or different parts that are protecting me, or learn to perform a certain way or whatnot, and realize, whoa, that's not actually me. And I was able to start to recognize like what is actually me. It was one of the most freeing, liberating things. And I think we all still do the work, right, every single day, but to really be able to just reclaim that and to find more of who you are, and then what you actually want to do in the world and how you actually want to show up is yeah, it's just been such a beautiful journey for myself and my clients. So I think in there, yeah, a lot of modalities, to answer your question specifically, within the method are woven in, as well, to, again, like we've said, meet the client where they're at, help them just discover their beliefs, rewire them, rewire their nervous system, decondition, discover who they are, and then ultimately, yeah, embody that version of themselves in the world.
Yeah, because we do, especially as women, we go through life and we do the next right thing.
Mm-hmm.
We might be the good girl, we might be the smart girl, we might be the whatever, you fill in the blank, the
Mm-hmm.
rebel girl, the wild child spirit, fill in the blank of what you've always been told you are, right? Oh, that's my sweet girl, that's my smart girl. And so we adopt these labels, and then we go through life living up to these labels.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes those labels have come from someone in our life who we hold um, in high esteem. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we want to make them proud. We want to do right by them, all of those things. And so we strive and strive, and our little self, our little
Mm-hmm.
girl, little boy self has taken on this title, this label, and we move through this world as that label. And we are just herded through elementary school, junior high, high school, and you have standardized testing, you have standardized learning, you have all of this stuff that isn't created to build individuals. It is
Mm-hmm.
created to build society members
Mm-hmm.
based on societal norms. And
Mm-hmm.
so we never, unless you are one of the lucky ones, because I consider us some of the lucky ones who have had the opportunity to have that self awakening moment, then we go through life on autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
We go to school, we go to trade school, we graduate, we graduate high school, we go into, if your whole family has always been blue collar, then you will probably naturally go into a blue collar career. If your whole family has been doctors, lawyers, degreed professionals, then you will
Mm-hmm.
probably go into that same field. Like, we tend to follow the norm for whatever our reality is. And I feel like all too often we do that. And then we wake up one day and we go, how on earth did I get here?
Mm-hmm.
I hate my life, or I'm miserable, or I'm, or it could be the other. I'm okay, but I know I was made for more. Like, there's something pulling at me that says, this isn't it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't listen to it. They just keep right on going. I know a lot of baby boomers who are right now in retirement, early retirement, like mid retirement. They're like, I want to do something with my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of clients that are in that phase, and they're either getting ready to walk into retirement or they're in that early retirement phase, and they are like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what to do, but I don't want to waste away. And how powerful would it be if we had more people in their 20s having that
Mm-hmm.
awakening moment in their 20s instead of in early retirement or when they're getting ready to retire?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that'd be a
Yeah.
huge societal shift. I think now, too, I think it is happening a bit younger now as we have social media. So you can get like way more exposed to just how other people are living, and people see that, oh, working online or doing something different is actually a possibility. Like we can travel, we can find ourselves, we can do these things. I think before, in previous generations, it was so much harder, honestly, right, to like access this, because we just didn't have as much connectability to these ways. And I think everything was so much more streamlined in that system. I think a lot of people are now waking up, which is so beautiful, and so great. And I think, to your point, even with that, there's still like so many people that will see that there are other ways, or see that there are options to discover who you are, to really lean into that meant for more feeling or whatnot, or travel or whatever it might be. But still, like, the conditioning runs so deep, and it can be generational at times. And like you said, depending on what people's families have done, like, people's beliefs will be so strong that it's like I can't tell you the amount of people that I've talked to that it's like, oh yeah, that's great for you, but I couldn't imagine that for me. Or, oh, that, I see these people doing it, but I need to do this path. Like, I could never leave corporate, or I could never try this different thing. Like, it sounds amazing, but no way. And so it's so interesting how we're still, like, even seeing it in front of us. Like, so many people in society are still limiting themselves so much.
Yeah, I have an 18-year-old. She is going to be graduating like at the end of this month.
Congrats.
So, yeah, thank you. And she's always been a good girl. Like, she is. She's kind, she's sweet, she's considerate. But she is also outspoken and a go-getter, and if she wants something, she's going to try her hardest to get it. And she's also not going to settle. Like, she'll do something that she doesn't want to do for a period, but long term she's like, no, absolutely not. Like, this was an argument in our house because part of our family wanted her to go to a conservative state for school. And like a conservative school. And my daughter is very, very liberal minded. She's very much like human rights, your body, your choice. Like, everybody deserves a fair shake. Like, we should be helping those who don't have. She's just very human focused, right? And so for her, going to a conservative school in a conservative state would have been miserable. Like, she would have hated it. And even as a 16, 17-year-old, she knew that. And I am so thankful that she is that way, and that she knows who she is. She knows what she wants, and she knows what she values. And I like you, I credit social media, because right now you can see everyone doing all of these amazing things. I'm a millennial, and I don't know what generation you are, but I'm a millennial. Yeah. Okay. And so I graduated in 2003. So I always tell people, I'm like, we millennials crawled on AOL and Facebook so that the younger generations could run on TikTok and all the other things, right? So I always feel like the millennials were the first ones to really try to branch out, because we were told that if you go to school, get the degree, you'll get the good job, and you'll be set for life. Yeah. But when we all entered the workforce, we were in a recession. And there were no jobs, and we were working at cafes, and we were baristas, and we were this stereotype was put on us that we were lazy, that we lived in our parents' basement, all these things. But I think we really broke the mold in doing stuff like gig work and side gigs and having our own businesses, and really starting that concept of like time freedom and location freedom, of like, we don't want to be tied down. And I'm grateful for our generation, because we are showing the younger generations that they can do whatever they set their mind to. Like, my daughter wants to be she's going to school to be a physical therapist, but she doesn't actually want to be a physical therapist. She's just getting that degree so that she has the top degree, and then she can do whatever she wants with it. Because what she wants to do is, she wants to be a personal trainer and like help people build their meal plans. Like, she wants to have a health and fitness business. And I tell her, I'm like, if you look at TikTok, there are people doing it and they are successful. You look at Instagram, you see them and they're successful. Like, we are really seeing a shift, like you said, in people knowing who they are. But you help people get from the not knowing to the knowing. So what is one of your techniques, or how do you help people through that? Because I truly believe that there are more people out there who don't know who they are. When we say we help high achievers, and I don't know what your tagline is, but when we say we help high achievers, like, break free, or we help high achievers create the life they dream of. Like, some of them don't even know what they dream of,
Mm-hmm.
but they know they can't stay here.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. I think that's such a big piece, because even for me, it was like, I remember I was working with a coach years ago, and she was like, what do you like to do outside of work? I was like, I don't know. I mean, I like to travel, but I couldn't really come up with who I was outside of work. And I think for so much of our generation and previous generations, that's what life was, right? Like, you worked for so long, and that was such a big piece of your life. And especially high achievers, that's how we defined ourselves, by what we like to do work wise and what we've achieved. And so starting to really figure that out is such a big piece. And I think for so many of us, and I think even like, it's so amazing that your daughter knew all of that and knows that about herself. And I still think there's so many 18-year-olds that don't as well. And so I think, it's a testament to social media, like you said, to your parenting, to different things that can really allow her to do that, which is so amazing. And I think really so many people, like, I think the biggest thing is too, it's so normalized to not know who you are. Like, I think that is a life journey, right? Like, we're all here to figure out who we are ultimately and what we came here to do. But so many people, I think, don't even question it. And so really starting to actually question it is such a big piece, and a big piece that I'll start to work with my clients on, and really asking ourselves, like, is this really me? Is this actually what I want to do? Is this who, like, where my soul really feels pulled, or where I really feels pulled? And starting to question so many things is such a rare thing in our society. And so starting to even question those societal norms, or the things you've done all your life, is such a big piece that I'll work with my clients on. And then also, it's like, if I didn't have to be this version of me, or if I didn't see myself as this way, who would I be? Right? Like, how would I actually show up? What would I actually want to do? And getting clear on that. And then, okay, from there, how can we rewire your patterns so you can actually become, right, that version of you? And I think such a big piece, which you mentioned too, about like being kind, being good. Like, I know for me, a big piece was this perfectionism and being the good girl. Like, I always thought that that's what we're striving to be, right? That's what we're shown so much of society. And so that's been like a big kind of egos out there, like realizations for me, kind of getting slapped in the face in different ways over these last 8 years of just like, no, like, that's not actually like how we want to be. Maybe some people, but like, having your own opinion, saying what you want, like, doing is such a big piece. And I think also recognizing really that, internally, how we feel about ourselves internally is ultimately the world that reflects us, right, externally. And so once we can really understand that, and that was like such a huge piece for me, because it was like, so often I felt like, oh, people keep telling me like I'm being too loud, or I need to be the good girl, I shouldn't have these opinions or whatnot. And I'm thinking, that's just like, they're right? That's how life is. And it's like, once I actually started to do the internal work and shift, I realized, whoa, wait, now I'm attracting all these other people that are like actually speaking up their minds and saying these things, and they want me to say it. And it's just so fascinating to see. And so really just starting to like go within, and really starting to like dig deep into your heart, and really with what you want, not like recognizing that no one knows better than you, I think is such a big piece. I think even how you mentioned with school and everything, we're always taught our entire lives the answers outside ourselves. The teacher knows, the textbook knows, someone else knows. We're never really asked, like, what do you actually think about this? As if there's any way that could somehow know better, right? Or it's like someone in society, someone older than us, whatever it is, like, they knew more. And so really starting to source this power within ourselves is like one of the biggest things, and recognize, well, what do I want? And like, literally, I get to create that. And that's the life that I get to lead. And that's the person I get to become. And it might be a lot of rewiring and work to get there, but that's really what I can do. And there's billions of people in this world. Like, I will find people that support that, and that are also like championing that. And I think that's, yeah, such a big piece. And like, really, I think that's like where it all starts. And then really giving yourself the permission to actually do that. Like, I can't tell you, even myself, I notice how much I limit myself of like, but can I really do that? Can I really show up in this way? Or can I, it's like, I think one of the craziest things, especially when you become an entrepreneur, so I'm sure you can relate, that we realize is there's no rules. Like, there's no way things are supposed to be or have to be or whatnot. And like, the people who really create the most success and who are the most remembered and do the most amazing things in this world, they're not following any rule book. Like, they're the ones paving the way. And so it's like, if we can really get in touch with that and really allow ourselves to fully be ourselves and fully show up in that way, and not look for approval or answers or someone else to lead us, like, oh my gosh, it's, yeah, just so amazing who we can become and what we can create.
Yes. So you're kind of speaking to my soul right now.
I love
And
it.
I know for so many others, because as entrepreneurs, we are naturally going to be content creators,
Mhm.
right? Like that's part of being an entrepreneur now. You have to also do
Totally.
social media, which means putting yourself out there, which
Mhm.
means how am I going to present myself? Like, am I going to follow all of the marketing rules? Am I going
Mhm.
to follow all of the, like, oh, you should post it this time and not this time, and you should do this and you should do that? And I've recently started following Rachel Rogers. I don't know if you've ever heard
Mhm.
of her. She has a book called We Should All Be
Yes, yes,
Millionaires.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Read it
And
recently.
she always says, like, be yourself. Whatever is
Mhm.
working, do more of that. And
Mhm.
like, just be yourself, be bold, be crazy, be
Mhm.
annoying, like, be loud, be whatever is true to you, do more of that. And
Mhm.
it doesn't matter what the trend is. You are going to stand out and you are going to continue to succeed because you are showing your true authentic self.
Mhm.
And that is what people connect with. And I this morning let someone get in my head. So that's why
Mhm.
I was saying you're speaking to me, because I actually got feedback from someone, from a coach or someone, consultant, that said that my Facebook videos are too long because I go
Mhm.
live every Tuesday through Saturday,
Nice.
and I do an actual like teaching, like I walk you through some mindset or like how to go. Like last week was going from chaos to clarity,
Love it.
and she was like, your videos are too long for Facebook. So this morning I got on and I did like
Mhm.
a quick 1 minute video, and I immediately was like, ugh,
Nice.
that it didn't feel good, right?
Mhm.
It didn't align with me. And so I'm actually going to get on tomorrow and be like, hey guys, sorry for the short video. Let's start the new series today and just
Mhm.
go with it. Because for me, I used to struggle with the fear of disappointing others, the fear, like the feeling of unworthiness, unlovable, like being unlovable
Mhm.
and unwanted. And so for a long time, I followed all the rules. I did all the things. I struggled with substance abuse in high school until I was 20. And so
Mhm.
for many, many years, that controlled me. And I didn't color outside the lines because it was driven by fear of people finding out about my
Mhm.
past. Oh, if I'm too bold, if I'm too loud, it's going to bring too much attention to me, and then they're going to know who I am.
Mhm.
And I refuse to live in that box anymore. And I think so. Thank you, because you're speaking to my soul. I was kind of struggling with that internally today. So,
Mhm.
but I think it's important for other people to hear that, like everything that you're saying, of like, we don't have to fit into society's box. And
Mhm.
we're all living this life for the very first time. And
Mhm.
if someone tells you that they know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, they're lying, because
Mhm.
every single person is unique. We have a unique journey, we have unique needs, we have unique personalities,
Mhm.
and we need to honor those for ourselves. Like, you need to honor yourself. Like,
Mhm. Yeah. No, I think to piggyback off that, like that, it just activated so much in me, because that is the biggest thing. I remember when I remember like exactly where I was when I had this realization, because like years ago, because it's like we're told, and just like how that coach told you, and we see all these things on social media. This is the way you need to market. This is what you have to do for success, all this stuff. And we're literally, and as good students, right, as high achievers, we're like, oh, so I need to do that. That's what I need to learn and show up that way. And I can't tell you the amount of times that I've been struggling with, like, oh, do I do strategy what this person says, or the energy, or the, or how I feel, or this. And I remember like the first time that I remember, I was like, we were traveling somewhere, and I was in the back of a, like a taxi somewhere driving us. And the first time I realized, and I heard, it was actually on human design, but it was just with so many different things of like, oh, you're not actually designed the way that these people are talking about. Like, this is meant for people with these types of personalities, or who really value these things. And it was just like, blew my mind, because it made me really realize like, oh wow, like everything that anybody is saying, like that works for them and maybe people just like them. But there's so many of us in this world that are all meant to operate differently. And it's like, no, it's just like one strategy isn't just universal. Like we need to actually figure out who we are and the best ways for us to operate and for us to show up and what our unique gifts are and like how we can really thrive in being ourselves. And like, that's the way. And I feel like we've only ever been taught like one way all throughout our lives. And so we just think everyone learns the same way. Everyone is supposed to show up the same way. Everyone is supposed to do these things exactly. And then, you know, once we can really realize, like you were saying, it's like, well, no, who am I and what really serves my design and how am I actually meant to show up and how can I serve in that way? And maybe the short video works for this person, but for me, I love long videos. And so like, that's what I need to do. And it's like, it's the constant battle though, I think, because we can know it, but can we really embody it? And I think that's what's can be tricky is like, you know, I know for myself, what I mean by that is like, I know everything I just told you, right? But I've also been so conditioned that there's this right way, or I want to get it right, or succeed, or whatever it is. And so when someone who you respect tells you something, you think, okay, it must be this. But ultimately, right, it's like, can we really come back and check within ourselves? Because only we really know what's best for us. And only we really know what's going to feel the most aligned. And like a big piece that I look into is just like, yeah, it's like, what's the energy behind it? It's okay. A 1-minute video might be great, but if you're doing it where you're feeling like, oh, why did I just do that? Then it's not going to resonate. Versus if you do a 45-minute video, but you're loving every second of it and people can feel it, then that's what's really going to click. And so it's like, there's so much nuance and so much to like who we are behind everything that ultimately that's the strategy. Like that's what we have to check into before anything else. But we're so conditioned otherwise that I think it can be that constant tug of war of like really owning that. And when you can really crack that code, which again, I'm still on that code, like it's taken me years to do, but I feel like when you can really crack that code, it's like, whoa, like
Yeah,
anything is possible.
it is. And oh my goodness. Yes. So you were talking about that, and I'm just sitting here thinking, like, because I have listeners, like, my target population
Mm-hmm.
for my clients is like veterinary. I work a lot with veterinarians. I work a lot with, like, I call them service industry professionals, but like anyone who offers like a human service,
Mm-hmm.
medical, animal,
Cool.
health and beauty. Like, it's like, and so, but I have audience members across the board. Like, I have friends, church friends, a lot of my church friends listen. And I'm like, just thinking about all of the people that I know.
Mm-hmm.
And it breaks my heart because, yeah, you and I, and many people out there, like, we have done the work, we do the work daily. And it
Mm-hmm.
is about having that checkpoint of like, okay, I've been asked to do something. I've been asked to take a job. I've been asked to go hang out. I've been asked to do a favor. Someone needs something from me. Like, that is stuff that is going to pull energy from you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing something for someone else. And a lot of people that I have spoken to struggle with saying yes or no to
Mm-hmm.
job promotions, to hanging out with friends, to networking events, to meeting new people, like whatever it is, like fill in the blank, whatever it is, they struggle. Do I do this or don't I? And you said, like, you have to come back to yourself and really check in and see, like, does this align with who I am, where I want to go, and who I want to become?
Mm-hmm.
Because if it doesn't, and I always tell my clients, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you have to really know, like, what matters to me. And I was speaking to a client the other day, and she said, I don't know what to do in this situation. And I said, well, is this situation going to disrupt your peace or your path towards your goals? And she said, yes, because I was planning on doing XYZ that night. And I said, okay, what is the outcome of XYZ? She said, well, it's going to move me towards my bigger goal of, fill in the blank. And I said, okay. And if you don't get to do XYZ this week, when is the next time you're going to get to do it? And she was like, it'll probably be 6 months before I get to do it. I said, how does that feel? She's like, that scares me because I don't want to miss this opportunity. And I said, okay, well, then it sounds like your request from this person is going
Mm-hmm.
to be a no, because what is really important to you right now is reaching your goal and helping yourself move from where you are now to where you want to be. And unless that request from that person is going to help you get there, then it needs to be a, hey, no, I can't do that, but this is what I can offer instead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we as coaches help people do that. We help them like figure out, connect the dots, right? Like we help
Mm-hmm.
them see, like, okay, this is not in alignment with where you're wanting to go. But before we wrap up, what is one way that you would tell someone who maybe isn't working with a coach at the moment, but really needs help deciphering yes or no to two things, something that is pulling them in one direction versus another? What advice would you leave them with?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would really say to look at like what's the reasoning behind it, right? Like why are you struggling with that yes or no in the first place? Do you feel like you have to do this because someone asked you have to please, it's the right thing to do? Like what is pulling you to not be sure? And I know for me, for example, I was conditioned, and I'm sure a lot of us, that being selfish, right, was a really bad thing. And that if you put yourself first, you didn't care about other people, and it was very negative, right? And I've had to do a lot of work around that because, and I'm sure a lot of people have, to really start to like be like, no, it's okay to put my needs first. I can have needs and I can share that. And so really looking at first is like, well, why is this a struggle for you? If you know you want to do this one thing, then what is pulling you to feel like you have to do or should do this other thing instead? And then once you get clear on that, I would say really like honoring that and really seeing, I mean, obviously, again, this is only one piece, so I can't go so deep into it, but really just seeing of, okay, yeah, this is feeling like a should energy. This is feeling like I have to do that. So this is probably coming from, and you can even trace it back to like when I was a kid, when I felt like I had to do these things, and start to recognize that and just see these patterns coming up in yourself, and then really sit with yourself and say, okay, I'm seeing what I actually want to do, and I'm seeing what I feel like I should do or what I feel pulled to do. And now I understand why. And then ultimately, do you want to operate from that place? Like, is that really supporting, kind of like you said, the version of you want to become? Is that what you want to, when you look back on your life, is that how you want to show up? Is that what you feel is serving you in the best way? And if you don't feel like it is, then it might be tricky the first few times that you do it. It will get easier, I promise. But then really start to say no and start to show up for yourself. But I think too often we just act so quick, and we feel like on the things we feel like we should do, or what will please someone else, or what we just think is how we're supposed to show up in like that role we've been talking about. So really taking that pause is so key, and like taking that reflection of, okay, why am I feeling pulled to do this? Why is it that I'm thinking about saying yes? And if it's not a genuine yes, and it's for all those reasons that I just touched on, then really start to ask yourself, well, how do I ultimately want to show up in this situation? What will really make me feel the most proud? When I look back on this, how am I going to be glad, like what I went with or what I said? And maybe sometimes it is that you do say yes to that other thing. Only you will know, and trust, like don't shame yourself one way or the other, but trust that really when you tap in, when you take the pause, when you connect with your heart, with yourself and what you feel is best, that you know, and by following that pull each time, it will get easier and easier, and you'll build that relationship with yourself as well, which is so key. Ultimately, as long as you're doing what you feel in the moment is right, that will radiate throughout your entire life over time.
Yes, I love it. Oh my goodness, thank you. That was perfect. I love you said that the should energy, like I
Mm-hmm.
should be doing this. Like, yeah, we got to get rid of defaulting to the should energy. And I like, I tell people all the time, like, if you feel like you have to do something, then it may not be a good fit, but it's time to really, that's a cue to like sit and reflect. But I like
Mm-hmm.
the should energy. That's a good way to remember it. If you
Mm-hmm.
feel the should energy, it is time to stop and ask.
Yeah, right. I just had a little like acronym, or not acronym, but like I was like, if you feel the should, that means it might not be good or not.
Oh, I love that. Yes. I love that. That's perfect. Oh my goodness. Okay, so if people want to follow along with you, where can they find you? What you got going on? Share all the details.
Awesome. So I'd love to connect. Yeah, definitely reach out if you're hearing this. I would love to get a message from all of you, but my Instagram would be the best place. So my Instagram is the places Ash Go. So kind of like the Dr. Seuss book, but with Ash as well. And I'm sure a link will be posted on here somewhere too.
Yes, yes. I'll post all your links in the show notes. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thanks. I'll also just touch one of the links that I believe I gave you to is for a free body scan. So if anyone wants a gift to tap into as well, we've been talking a lot about the shoulds and how we behave in the roles, and oftentimes what that's all coming from when we operate from our heads, and again from these conditioned ways. And so there's so much benefit in dropping into your body. And so whether you're really stressed, whether you're in one of those, what should I decide, what feels actually true for me, how do I want to show up in this situation, or you simply want to just turn off your thoughts before you sleep at night, body scans are really, really great. So I definitely recommend that you check it out. And I would love to provide that for you guys as well, to really tap back into your center, who you are at your core, and then from there be able to operate in the world.
Oh my goodness. We should do an entire episode on body scan.
All right. I love it. I'm down.
I think that would be fun. I think we need to because we didn't even get to touch on that, but I think we need to do that. Deserves its own episode. So we'll connect and we'll figure that out. Because yes, we'll put the link in the show notes for that. Anything else?
Yeah, I guess if I was to say any last words and stuff, I would really encourage you notice too, how this episode made you feel. Did it activate pieces in you? Did it maybe make you feel maybe either really excited, or maybe it actually made you feel a little frustrated and felt a little called out? And I would invite you, if that's the case, to really lean into that. Ultimately, that always means that there's something for us to look into and really something there for us. And so maybe give it a re-listen and to just start to take the moments to really reflect on, again, not judging yourself, not shaming yourself, but on how you are showing up in your life, and really see if you can give yourself that permission to allow yourself to even see who are you, or what do you want, or how do you want to show up, and see if you can start incorporating little ways throughout your day of just maybe claiming you as well, and see how that starts to shift things in your life. And again, sitting with the triggers maybe that did come up from this episode, or the excitement, and really allowing it to land in your system, and from there really being intentional with what you want to take from this. Like we talked about, we can go so on autopilot in our lives, and we can listen to podcasts and do all the things, but if we're not actually integrating them, then it's not necessarily shifting us. So really giving yourself that pause, that time to reflect, and to the permission. I want to give you the permission to be who you are, to say what you want to say, to show up in the way that you're meant to, and to kind of, I won't curse, I guess, but F all the shoulds, and how you, whatever you've been feeling you have to do, and just really, celebrate yourself and see how that feels for a little bit.
I love it. Yes. F all the shoulds.
So
I love it. Yes. Because seriously, if you were listening to this while you were driving, I highly suggest going back, re-listening to it, taking some notes, maybe seeing, tallying or writing the minute, when you felt a little flare up of frustration or being called out or whatever, because we do this out of love, because we don't want people to stay stuck where we once were. We were both once there. And we both do this out of love and a desire to help see more people find freedom. And so, yes, we don't call you out to make you feel bad. We're not, that's not our intention, but it is if it is some tough love. And if you need to go back and listen to this, go back and listen to it a second time, because we have so many good nuggets in this. Oh my goodness. Okay. Any other final words?
I could go on forever.
I know. No, we have to do a second episode. We have to, because we're going to talk about the body scan. So I'll have you back. I'm so excited.
Awesome. Me too. So
yes. And I'm going to go follow you so I can see all the places you go.
Amazing.
All right. Well, Thank you for being on today. And everyone, until next week, be well, be kind, and may you find some joy this week. Bye.
Bye.